Hello, Insane Friends. And this morning, we are talking about SRLP stock. Will it make a meteoric rise or will it crash and burn? Oh my gosh. Full disclosure, I got some money riding on this. So, of course, I'm a little excited about it. I'm up 8% already on SRLP, or I think it's Sprague Resources. I'm also up on my Tesla this morning, so I'm a little excited about that. The SRLP, though, I did say something about this yesterday. Excuse me, because I was reading articles about it. And let's see here if I can find one of those articles and show it to you. SRLP, Sprague Resources LP. And I think this has a good chance to go up, but this is not financial advice, and I'm not making any predictions, and I'm not making any recommendations. No recommendations. I'm not advising anyone. This is purely for entertainment purposes only. I find it very entertaining. I hope you find it very entertaining. I'm excited about this stock and where it could go. Now, it's a little bit lower right now than it was a few minutes ago. I hope that's not an indication of what's going to happen for the rest of the day. We are at 1656, which is 8.3% higher than yesterday. And I think I hit break even yesterday. So let's see exactly where I'm at in my position on SRLP. Is actually, that gives me 1% because I was down about 7% yesterday. Previously, earlier months, I was down like almost 20% on this position. So you can imagine how excited I am about regaining over 20% and being in the red for a long time. And then suddenly a couple of articles go out yesterday about Sprague Resources, SRLP, which one of the things I like about Sprague Resources is the huge dividend, which was even bigger, and then they cut it some, but it's still according to TD Ameritrade, the annual dividend, the way they calculated it, is 11.36%, or $1.74 per share. I don't know about you, but I'm used to getting, if I have any dividends at all, it being somewhere around 1-2%, sometimes 4 or 5 is big. 11% is huge. And what I've noticed in my amateur trading, because I am amateur, I'm not a professional. I'm not really. I wished I'd have started. I started doing trading like 2 years ago, and I wished I had started like 10 years ago, because I made so much money in my first year and second year that I was like, I cannot believe that I haven't been doing this all my life. That doesn't mean I'm suggesting you do it. I'm just trying to share with you my experiences in hopes that it helps. There's some things already that I've learned that I would do differently if I started over, but this is a brand new year, so I'm starting over with a brand new year. And this year's trading I'm going to do with the knowledge that I learned last year and the year before, and hopefully I'll do better. Although I do think that this market is going to be harder this year. I think it's going to be a lot harder this year. And I think it's going to force me to grow as a trader, and it's going to force me to learn a lot as a trader. I think that last year and the year before, with the Fed pumping a lot of money, it made it a lot easier for me to make money on my trades. And this year is really going to force me to grow. But as far as the Sprague Resources, research a proposal of outstanding shares. Okay, let's see. I want to go back to yesterday's article that I was reading and telling people about in my live yesterday. Find that. Come on, computer. Get that up here. Okay, that is, well, here's something from Denny Jacob on that. The stuff I read came out at like 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock yesterday. And so it didn't start going up until the after hours. It had still remained down in the like $5.35 is what it closed at. And then I read this stuff and it just started going up in the after hours. And as you can see, it's over $6 now. It's like $6.50 now. And whatever losses I had in the stock were regained last night. What wasn't regained last night before I went to sleep was regained after I went to sleep. This morning, I'm in the green. Sprague Resources said it received an unsolicited, non-binding proposal from fellow energy firm Hartree Partners LP to buy the remaining 25% stake in the company that it doesn't already own, in a deal that would value Sprague at $432.9 million. Hartree and its affiliates would acquire all of the outstanding common units of Sprague that it doesn't already own in exchange for $16.50 in cash per common unit. The proposal represents a premium around 11% to the closing price of $14.93 on January the 10th. So, that's another good point. On January the 10th, which was the day before yesterday, it was less than $15 on this stock. So you can imagine I'm nail biting. I mean, I was down quite a bit, but it was coming up. And so my losses were just going away, and I was getting closer and closer to breaking even. And I went beyond break even already into some gains. And now, of course, I'm sitting here thinking, ooh, should I sell right now and take what little gains I have? But it seems like if I sell right now, it's going to shoot up and I'm going to miss out on all those gains. If I don't sell now, it could turn on me. I could go back in the red and be back to losing money on this again. So, woo, yeah, nail biter. Hartree and its affiliates currently hold approximately 75% of the outstanding common units of Sprague. The board of directors of Sprague's general partner expects to delegate the authority to evaluate and negotiate the proposal to its conflict committee. The proposal is subject to negotiation and execution of a mutually acceptable merger agreement. Shares of Sprague rose 7.92% in after-hours trading. Okay, so this article was written after the article that I wrote, and pretty much the same stuff. I didn't write the article. Wow. This was written after the article that I read yesterday, and it's pretty much the same information as the article I read yesterday before this went up. And then with the additional information of the shares of Sprague rose 7.92% in after hours trading to $16.49, the stock is down more than 26% over the last 12 months. Yes, because I bought into it after it had gone down around 5% or so. And I'd been buying, selling it. And so I bought into it, and then it just started bleeding out. So I just hold. Maybe it'll go back up. Hold. Maybe it'll go back up. And it turns out I was right to hold, because I'm in the green now. I didn't have any foresight about that. I didn't have any insider information or anything to make me make that decision. I was just lucky that that decision turned out to be right. And so here we are. Now I got to make another decision, and that is whether to sell it now with a little bit of profit or hang on to see if it goes to a pretty substantial profit. Now, if you just bought into this in the last few days, you're really sitting pretty because you're probably sitting on a lot more gains than I am, unrealized gains than I am. Oh, by the way, this let's give credit to Denny Jacob, who wrote this article right here of Hartree Partners offering to buy remaining shares of Frog Resources, and see what else we can find out about this. Because now, also put when I first found out that this was Hartree Partners was offering to buy this. Well, before we move on, let's talk about this Hartree Partners buy offer. It said something about being negotiable. Now that could go either way. I mean, that could be bullish or bearish because, I mean, if by negotiable they mean they're willing to pay more, then that could potentially make the stock go up more, or it could just go up more anyway. Let's see what it's doing right now, because this is live and this is happening right now. So it could be going up or it could be going down as we're speaking. Woo! Yeah, look at that. It's 1670. It's turned again and it's going up now. Remember, it turned on me a little bit when it was at 1650 and it went back down. I mean, not 1650 when it was at 1660 something, and it went back down and it was headed back down to 1650. It was at 1655 again, and it moved around a little bit, but it just really turned up. It really made a J hook there. It made a J hook right there at 1655 and shot up to 1670. I'm in the money. Thank you, honey. Woo! Okay. Well, I'm not really in the money unless I sell. But if I sell now and it goes up more, I'm going to regret it. And if I don't sell now and it turns again in this J hook, just ends up being an A, I'm going to recry. How's that? Oh, now I can't remember. Roy Orbison song go? Crying over you. Oh, I can't even come close to Roy Orbison. What a voice that guy had. Okay, it's up 9.16% since yesterday. Woohoo! You know, I did give a heads up to a Facebook group that I'm a member of. That it's all about trading, and I also said something on here on Insane Finance yesterday before it was too late. And I mean, a few of the people were nice, but most of the people were just like god awful, mean, and downright bullying on my post, and calling me names like bag holder and a pumping up scammer and stuff like that. I'm not pumping this stock. I'm just in it, and I'm excited that I'm not losing anymore, and it's going up. And there seems to be a catalyst here, which is this proposed merger or this proposed buy of the remaining stocks, whatever you want to call it, that's cited in these articles that I was reading. And I like to look at not just fundamentals of a company And but I also like to look when I buy to see if there's any room there for potential for gain. Now let's see, how much did I pay for this? Because when I had been looking at it and thinking about buying it, it had been up to over $25. And I obviously did not pay that much for it. I paid somewhere in the $16 range, I think, for this. Let's look at my positions and I can tell you. Man, my Tesla is just way up there too. Awesome. What a green day. What a wonderful green day. Okay, the SRLP. Let's change this graph here I'm on TD Ameritrade, by the way, if you want to know what I'm doing here. And I'm looking at fundamentals, and I'm looking at, nope, not fundamental. I need to go to P&L graph, profit and loss graph, and it will tell me what my cost per share is. $16.39. So of all my buys on SRLP, it averages out to I paid $16.39. Now, I was doing the catching the falling knife thing, but at the time I thought I was buying a dip. And it turns out now, if you look back, it was let's see, I guess if you turn the clock back to 3 days ago, you could say I was buying the falling knife when I was buying into SRLP. Today, I was buying the dip, because today, if you look at the pattern, there's a dip, and I bought in at average of 16.39 in the dip on the way down. So, but some of it I paid more than that, and some of it I paid less than that, and that's why it averages out to 16.39, and which, if I'd have bought just a few days ago, I would have more of that 8% that it's gone up in the next day. Right now, I've got 1.5%, but it's really 1.5% doesn't seem very exciting until you factor in that at some point I was down over 10% in this position, and to go from being negative 10% to positive 1.5%, that's, for me, that's like a 11.5% move. And that is very exciting. I got all my money back that I was losing, plus some money. And it looks like it's going to go even more. But don't quote me on that. I'm not making a prediction. I'm just saying, I'm hoping it is. I'm hoping it keeps going up. Whew. It says 16.67 right now. A 9.11% gain since yesterday. That's awesome. That is really awesome. So this post that I put yesterday about, and what I did was I posted this on Facebook, and I said to Google SRLP before tomorrow and do some research. You'll thank me later. Oh man, what some of the horrible comments that went out. Now, I have no problem with the guy that said why, except that, well, do some research. That's because it might go up. That's why. But I didn't want to say it might go up because I didn't want to be insinuating that it's going to move up or down or any which way. I was just insinuating that it was worth doing some research. It was worth Googling the SRLP. And, so why is because you might want to know. But then I got a lot of comments like, a bunch of the little rocket symbols saying that I was insinuating that it was a short squeeze and it's going to go to the moon. And for all I know, there's no shorts on this. I don't know what the short interest on this is, if any. Another one says you forgot to say buy new Lambos. Another one says you to the moon and all that other kind of stuff. And another one has a picture of Carmen saying 4-point plan, cash in, pump up, dump down, and Lambo. And another one says, trust me, bro. And then another one was put on there way after I posted that it says it's a little late. Well, if you'd have read my post when I put it up there, it wasn't too late. And it's still not, apparently still not too late, because it's gone up. Half of its move has been this morning. And then there's references to AMC and GameStop and all that stuff. And yeah, I also heard that, and they throw around some other tickle symbols are going to rip tomorrow, and big laughy faces and all that kind of stuff. But you notice none of these have any reference to any kind of facts or knowledge or information to make you think whether this thing would go up or down of any kind. Just insinuations and insults. And then the closest thing to any research is one of them posted on here, I did some research. This is a dead, decayed, mummified dog. Well, based on what? Maybe it is a dead, decayed, mummified dog, but why would I believe that? Is there some kind of information that I don't know that would make me think it's a dead, decayed, mummified dog? I mean, here's some indication that it's not. Hartree Partners apparently doesn't think it's a dead, decayed, mummified dog, because they're willing to pay $16.50 for all the rest of the remaining shares that they don't have. Well, obviously they're not mine or anybody else that holds it, because there's some more people besides Sprague. I guess they're meaning all the SRLP shares that SRLP has still outstanding. And they may be, it said, the article said that they were willing to negotiate. So they may be willing to pay more than that. If they're willing to pay more than $16.50, then, and if they do it something other than behind closed doors, and that's another thing too. I mean, these negotiations could fall apart, and they could walk out and say, oh, well, we're just not going to buy the rest of these shares. And once news of that hits all the other investors, it could just plummet. I don't know. That's why I'm sitting here thinking, should I Should I sell what I got and take what profits I have right now? Or should I hold on for more? Yeah, it's 1670 right now. It's pretty awesome. See if anybody's in the chat yet. Nope. See if there's a way I could tweet this out or something. Okay, there, it's tweeted out. So how is the Tesla doing now? Is it still going up? Let's take a look at that. Oh, heck yeah. Look at that. 1,092. Of course, my position in Tesla has diminished as it went up because I had set some orders to sell some of my Tesla position once it reached a certain point, because I had bought those shares recently in the dip, in the small dips, just for the purpose of selling them if it went back up, and it turned out that I was right. So those shares that I bought yesterday sold this morning at a profit, and I did that twice yesterday. I bought some Tesla in addition to my main share, because this is part of what I do, my strategy with these high conviction stocks that I think I want to keep for a very long time. I buy a certain amount of it. I keep that at least 50% of that amount. The other 50% I might sell if it goes up and it's printing tendies, and I think it might go make another dip. I try to sell it at the peak, the 50% of it at the peak, or 25% of it, or whatever, just as long as I'm not selling more than 50% of my stake. And I try to sell that for a profit. And then when it dips again, buy back in quickly. I did that twice yesterday. And the second time, I wasn't able to sell the extra shares that I bought because it didn't go up high enough to sell the second buy. But this morning it has. And so those extra shares that I bought yesterday of Tesla have now sold. And I still have the majority of my Tesla shares, and they're going up. They're going up. And 1673 on Sprague Resources. It's still going. Still going. Should I go on this Facebook thing and say I told you so? Oh, man. Well, guys, I'm glad this is working out right now. It looks like it's going to take some time to see where the chips are going to fall. If whether they're going to fall or they're going to pile up, I don't know. But give me a comment below if you think that I should do another update on this situation later on this afternoon, after it's had a chance, after SRLP has had a chance to move one way or the other. And if I see some comments on here, y'all want me to come back on here and give you an update and a report? Do you want me to do like I did yesterday? Let me know in the comments. Do you want me to do like I did yesterday and try to let you know before this happens, like I did yesterday, that it's going to happen? I mean, and last Sunday, was it last Sunday or the Sunday before? Anyway, on a very recent Sunday, either the last one or the one before, I had said something about, yeah, it was the one before, the Sunday before this last Sunday. I had come on here and said something about, I thought that Tesla was going to move up 2 to 10%. And then that very Monday after I made that video, you can go back and see that video right here in the same playlist. That very Monday, it went up 13%. And then it stayed up Monday and Tuesday, and it fell back down by Wednesday. But right in there, in that same week, Ford shot up when they said their news about they were planning on ramping up production of the F-150 Lightning. So that was all very exciting for last week, and I made some videos on that stuff. And it just let me know what you want to see more of, if you want to keep hearing about the stuff like that. Because I mean, I'm reading these articles and trying to find out what's going on with these stocks anyway. I might as well share it with you guys if you want to hear about it. Just keep in mind, I'm not advising anybody to buy any of this stuff that I'm buying, or to sell any of this stuff that I'm selling, or to do any of the investments that I'm investing. I'm just trying to share, and in hopes that, because I keep learning things as I'm buying and selling this stuff. I make mistakes and I learn from those mistakes. I have victories and I learn from those victories. Thank you, Lord, that I have made more victories than I have mistakes these past couple of years while I've been trading. And so I'm in the green both years, and I'm in the green again now. So okay. So at this point, I'm gonna end this, and I will come back in the afternoon and update you on what's going on with SRLP at that point, and what's going on with my Tesla, and maybe even some more if there's some juicy articles or something that I find along the way that could help. I will reveal that too. Oh, Tuber Chat. Hey, welcome to the chat, Tuber Chat. Thank you for sharing on the Reddit. Because sharing is caring. So I was going to go, but go right when somebody shows up. That would be rude, wouldn't it? Well, if you just showed up, what we're talking about here is that SRLP has made a big move to the upside. And I was talking about this yesterday when I didn't know for sure it was going to make a big move to the upside, but I thought I was confident enough that it was going to make a big move to the upside to go on here and say something about it in hopes that I could let people know before it was too late. And I did. I also said something about it on Facebook. I got a lot of hate for that, and a lot of name calling and a lot of accusations. It turned out I wasn't even saying that it was going to go up. I was just saying on Facebook that it was worth doing some research on. And I didn't even say in case it goes up. It was SRLP was worth doing some research, and then they just jumped all over me and made me wish that I hadn't even told them anything. But it turns out that I'm in the position right now that I'd like to say to all those haters that said all those mean things, I told you so. I told you. It's not my fault. You didn't listen. It's not my fault. You didn't do the research, and hey, you missed out on 8%. And let's see if it's still up 8% right now. Yeah, that's mean saying I told you so, but 8.8%. So take that, haters. There's 8% of love for you haters. And but no, I'm not a fanboy of SRLP. I don't love it or anything. It's a stock. It's an investment. It's a money thing, It's a get in at the right time and get out at the right time. Try not to let any emotions get in there. Try not to become a fan and just do what a trading robot would do. The best thing you can with the information that you got. And the information that I got was these wonderful people writing these articles and stuff. Like, where is that? I'm going to give that guy credit again that wrote that article. No, that's Google. That might be there. Okay. Market Watch and Seeking Alpha. Those were the two I was reading yesterday. They were on Market Watch and Seeking Alpha. So kudos to Market Watch and Seeking Alpha for letting us all know in their articles about Hartree Partners offer to buy the remaining shares of Sprague Resources. Because that's what really tipped me off, so I could tip you off, so we could know that this might make a move, which it did make a move. Which is wonderful, and apparently it's still moving. And I haven't sold my shares yet, so I mean, it's yet to be seen whether that's a smart move or not. Maybe I should be selling them right now. Maybe not. Maybe this thing will just keep running, but it's running now. It's running up. It's all good right now. My Tesla's gone back down a little bit. It's back into 1,089, but I'm still in the green on that. And I did sell a few of those shares, but I didn't sell all of it. Yeah, it is a nice win, Tuber Chat. And thank you for being here. And well, yeah, and and you're right. Many people are ready to attack on many online platforms. And what it reminds me of is before I had years and years ago, before I'd opened any other businesses or anything, I'd always been one of these guys that was like doing things that nobody in my family are doing things that nobody in my circle of friends are doing things that nobody in my school were doing. And then when I was one of those guys that at 16 years old, I had a full-time job and I didn't go back. I got my GED and later I took some college courses and stuff with that instead of going back to high school because I didn't see the sense in going back to school for a few hours a day when I'm making money during the day working a full-time job. And my home situation with my parents wasn't good either. So it was better for me to just have my own apartment. And that's what I did. All along this whole thing, all these people, and even still to this day, I have family members in my business pursuits and my investing pursuits and all that stuff. Well, I wouldn't do that. Why do you do that stuff? You should just do this and do that. And they're always telling me to do this kind of stuff that they're doing, which is pretty much work 9 to 5 and sit in front of the television for 4 or 5 hours at night and get up in the morning and do it again and spend every bit of their money at Walmart. And I'm like, that is not the lifestyle for me. And then you're going to live on Social Security when you get old. I mean, what? And they're like, yeah, that's the way you do it. I don't see why you're doing all that risky stuff. You could lose everything. And, I've been a lot more successful than they are. And I mean, yeah, I've lost it once before and I can lose it again. But, that I like, it's thrilling and it makes a lot of money. And that is it. And thank you for pointing that out. It is a nice win for a day or two. And it was actually, most of those wins was just last night and this morning. It had steadily gone up a little bit before this happened. And it makes me wonder if some other people knew before this article I read about the Hartree partners and stuff, because I didn't know why it was going up when it was going up a little bit every day for the past 4 or 5 days. I just know that I had bought in at like $16 quite a bit before that. And then it kept going down. I had bought because it had gone down. And so at that point I was catching the falling knife. And I thought I was buying in the dip, but it just kept dipping. So it turned out to be a falling knife. But then in recent days, when it started going up, it turned out that now it's a dip. And I was buying over here in the dip. And it's coming back up. And I was regaining all my losses. And it's easy to say this stuff in hindsight because, I'm Monday quarterbacking here. But what I see the most valuable thing about it is the learning from it. Both the mistakes of buying in that dip a little too high, and which is not necessarily a mistake because I hardly ever catch anything at the very bottom, and I hardly ever catch anything at the very top. And a couple of times that I actually missed selling at the right time was because I was trying to catch at the very top. And so I've learned that for me, and I'm not telling anybody else what to do, I'm not giving advice here, but for me, I've learned that it's bad for me to try to catch the very top, and it's bad for me to try to catch the very bottom. I seem to do better when I try to catch near the bottom and near to the top and don't get too greedy, if you know what I mean. I think there was another guy on YouTube. Oh gosh, I want to give him credit for it because he put it in. He said something about don't swing for the fences, and it's God, I want to mention his name and give him a shout out because he deserves because he taught me that. Warrior Trading. He does Warrior Trading, and if I remember his name, I'll give him a shout out here in a minute. Because, he put it in perspective for me when he called it swinging for the fences. And that's right. It's better to hit the ball and get a base or two than it is to swing for the fences and try to get a home run every single time. Because, if you capture like 2% gains and you get in correctly and get out correctly and get 2%, and you do that twice, that's better than catching 3%. Or trying to catch a 10% gain and then missing it completely. Happens all the time. I also began working at a young age, similar to, oh, well, great. I'm glad to see somebody else in that same club. You're a rare dude, man. I mean, most of the guys that I knew and hung out with that had done the same thing that I had, started working at a young age. And even before 16, when I was working full time, I was, from 8 years old, I went out there and knocked on doors. Every time my parents weren't doing well, and there was no food in the house, which was frequent because my mother was really, she still is really, well, she's improved a lot actually, really bad with money, just really bad with money. And we were a military family, and my dad had left the Air Force, and so we didn't have that stable housing and that steady money and stuff coming. Well, he worked steadily, but you know, there wasn't that safety net, and so there was always lights off or water off or something like that. And so mom would do stuff like, uh, dad would send home some money and she'd buy a whole bunch of food and stuff because we didn't have a lot of food. And she bought an extra freezer the last time we got money and stuffed food in it. And so there was all this food in the freezer, all this food in the refrigerator, and then she didn't pay the light bill, and so the lights got cut off, and now the food's going to go bad. So we eat all this food as fast as we could, and then we got no food, and so I'm knocking on doors again looking for work, and trying to get something to eat after school and on the weekends, and which was always didn't always pan out. So we won't get into what I did when I couldn't find any work, but I'm glad I don't have to do anything like that anymore. But all my friends that had gone through the same kind of stuff, they're all gone now. And my last one was my best friend, and he died from cancer last year. So. Yeah, we need a lot more people like you in the world. People know what it's like to struggle, and you know, a lot of people are, and I even hear it sometimes from people my own age. They'll say stuff about, well, things are so bad today, and they point out the bad this and the bad that. Man, I tell you what, you really think about it, what we went through in the 70s, and it was better in the 80s, but even then, it's never been as great and as easy and as wonderful and cushy and as it is now, even with this pandemic stuff, you know. I hear you. I hear you. As soon as I cut my first lawn and shoveled my first driveway, I ran all over the neighborhood knocking on doors. Yeah, it's addictive, man. It's really addictive. You know, it's a big thrill. You talk to that first old lady or that first man with a growed up lawn, and you're like, you know, is there anything I can do to make some money? And then, you know, one of the things I learned early on too that was great is if you and an older boy told me this. It was I guess my first sales seminar, and I was 8 or 9 years old, and I'd been knocking on doors and doing stuff, and I was like, uh, I don't know, making like 10 or 15 bucks for bigger lawns. And he said, he was asking me about what I was saying, and I told him, you know, what we were saying back and forth, and he says, you need to quit giving them a number about what they want done. When they tell you what they want done and they ask you how much you're going to charge for it, make them give you a number first. Have a number in your head, but don't let it come out your mouth, and make them give you a number first. And so I started doing that. And lawns that I was thinking I was going to charge them 10 or 15 bucks, they started telling me 25. And I was like, okay, I'll do it for 25. And I never told them I was thinking like 10 or 15 bucks in my head. And I was started suddenly getting like $25 a lawn for lawns that I was doing for 10 or 15. And I think minimum wage, if there was any then, was somewhere around $3 or $4 an hour. And I'd do these lawns in like 1 or 2 hours. And then my mom and dad and everybody I was making more money than my mom and dad when they had work. And then of course I would go I would only do one or two, and I'd go straight to the grocery store, and I'd buy the worst food that I could possibly eat. Sometimes I'd buy a big old pie or something, or a dozen donuts or something. and and then I'd go eat every bit of it. And every once in a while, I would get enough and then take it home, and I'd have food there for dinner for everybody. Because I'd feel guilty about not sharing with the rest of the family. But and then there were times I would go fishing, and I'd come home, and mom would get home from work, and she don't get a paycheck for another few days, and I'd have like half a dozen fish, and I'd done stripped them and cleaned them and everything, and be ready to cook, and she'd just be so happy. Yeah, I did start a my first full time working for somebody else job at 15, but I didn't keep it for very long. That was literally shoveling poo. I mean, so, uh, but then I had to go back to school, and when school started again, so that ended that career. mercifully, that mercifully ended that career. Uh, You're absolutely right. Once you know how to make money from nothing, I used to, be, what is the word, resentful of people that were born into money and born in better situations and stuff like that. And I learned that was just me not being born into that was just another one of those blessings in disguise, because you are so right, Tuber Chat. You're so right. If you learn how to make the money from nothing, if you're in that situation when you've got nothing and you have to learn how to make the money from nothing and build up from nothing, especially if you've had to do it twice in your life, then you have that confidence and that knowledge that you can just do it again and again. And if you're born with, or if you're talented with a certain talent that you can only use in your youth, which one of my talents is fixing things. And that's when I lost it all and had to rebuild, was because I ruptured two discs, and I had other health problems, and four hernia surgeries, just one right after the other. And so what I was doing then to make a lot of money, I can't do right now. I can't do anymore. And so I was forced to go on the computers and start doing more stuff on the computers. Well, that turned out to be the best smackdown of my life, because now I'm doing things that I wished I'd have done way before all those other burnt, bruised, and bleeding things. And because, it just forced me to learn a whole lot easier ways to make a whole lot more money that's way more scalable. So yeah, guys like us, we can just do it again. Oh, you're in Canada. That's awesome. I get so many. I've noticed that so many people from Canada um, are so. How would you put it? What is the word I'm looking for? You get a lot of that down here in the South too. Um, there's a lot of people that are very. Um, my brain is just not working. I need more coffee. Oh my gosh. Anyway, for lack of a better word, they're very pleasant to talk to. They're very respectful. That's the word I was looking for. So many are very respectful. And here in Georgia too, except, I lived all my teenage years in Atlanta, and it's completely different. It's like New York or some other big cities, and people are very rude and short, and you have to learn how to tell this difference between the ones that are being rude because they just don't have time for any niceties, and they're just trying to be short and to the point, and the people that are just being rude to be mean. And in Atlanta, you gotta figure that out. You gotta look for that. And but outside of Atlanta and the rest of Georgia, it's like talking to Canadians. They're very, very respectful and pleasant in the way they talk, and so easy to talk to. And I think all of them make a lot better salesmen, like Tommy Boy sales. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, you're so right, Tuber Chat. Tuber Chat says all the older guys who talk about people born into money and the resentment that comes say, but now that we're older, we're glad we had to make it because you can never lose the knowledge. Yes. And I looked into some of the stats on this. The people that I was so resentful for, and part of it was the teenage years in Atlanta. There's a lot of the Marxism stuff gets spread around, hate the rich kind of stuff, and which is not all Marxism, but but Marxism has that in spades, and they like to spread that around, and because it works to their advantage in recruiting. But I had been doing some research, when I started really getting serious about reading books about success and success habits and stuff, and I found out there were so many more self-made uh, wealthy people than I had realized. So many more of them, and that there was a actual declining number of these generational wealth people, and that a an increasing supply of self-made wealth, and that's in the USA. I don't know about Canada or any other, and I imagine there's a lot of that in Canada too. But I know that other countries that I've looked into, or that I've been to, or that I know people that's been there, there's not so much of that. There's not so much of the self-made wealth. It seems to be here in the northern hemisphere of the Americas that occurs the most, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so reluctant to. I think there should be incremental changes and stuff at all times in just about all areas, but I'm so resistant to this big sweeping change that everybody seems to be, not everybody, that lots of people seem to be gung ho for right now. Big sweeping changes, usually in your own personal life and stuff, if not done very carefully, seem to come right before a disaster. and we seem to be better capable of doing that than government entities. So big sweeping changes in government entities seem to be a recipe for immediate disaster. I'm not for that. Of course, there are exceptions. I do have to admit that the big sweeping change that was forced upon me by ruptured discs and hernia surgeries and stuff like that was really good for me. I mean, I couldn't spend in my entire life, and I should have known too when I was younger that I wasn't going to be able to spend my entire life, you know, playing with power tools and stuff for 10, 12, and 14 hours a day. No matter how lucrative it got and how many employees I had and all that stuff, it just wasn't. And that was part of my problem too, was personal, is that no matter how many employees I had, I couldn't keep my hands out of it. I'm a lead from the trenches kind of guy, and I just couldn't quit going in there with the guys to take off the suit and stuff. I get the fleet accounts and everything. I come back and I'm going to my office, and somebody stopped me and, hey, you know, boss man, there's this problem or that problem. And next thing I'm shucking that suit off and putting on some coveralls, and I'm right out there with them, you know. And then I'm like, anybody else need some help? Anybody else need some help? And I'm just, you know, right there in the trenches again. Okay, it's about 11:30 my time, which means it's bacon and eggs time. And if I don't eat right on time, I get the shakes and feel really bad. So I really appreciate you coming into the chat and chatting with me, Tuber Chat. And I have, I believe I've seen you on another guy's live stream. And I wish I could think of his name right now. I'm going to give him a shout out. I'll probably give him a shout out in the next live stream. I will look up and see who he is and what his name is, because I appreciate him connecting us. And I will go check out your channel too sometime today and give you at least a full watch on something and a like strike. And if I'm not already connected with your channel, I'll do that too. And I appreciate you being here, and I hope everything is going great in Canada. There's a lot of Bottle Caps is up in Canada. He's got a great channel too. And wait a minute. Dennis at RPM. He does a lot of computer stuff. He's also in Canada. I'm gonna have to get, when I get all my stuff together. Right now, I've got a lot of investments and stuff. When I get all my stuff together to where I'm slowly moving things over to where it's more passive, so that I can have more freedom to move and travel. Right now, I'm kind of stuck right here. I've still got a big eBay store and other things that I got to box some stuff up right now, actually, now that I think of it. And it keeps me here in stationary. I was to do some real estate investing, and I've got 7 acres in Tennessee I need to do something with that I just bought after I just sold my other Tennessee stuff. I was free from that. But I mean, it was a juicy investment, you know. It was a good deal. And so I nabbed it. But anyway, I'd like to get away from some of that stuff and more into these things where I can travel and still do it from the computer without actually having all this inventory and stuff. And when I do, one of the things I want to do is be able to spend a few months like in the northern states when it's really hot down here, maybe the summer months, or maybe even Canada. And then maybe I can go visit some people in Canada. Maybe we can get together for like a little YouTube get together, face to face. Excuse me, a face to face YouTube get together that we don't have to go to California for, because I honestly I don't want to go to California. I know the weather's great there, but it's crowded. And thank you for being here. I am going to quit rambling and go make my bacon and eggs. And if I find something really juicy to talk about for the afternoon, I'll come back. If not, I'll probably see y'all tomorrow. Yeah, it would be great if we could have more of the YouTuber get-togethers and stuff in more places, and not just the big thing in California and the one big thing in New York for the East Coast. maybe get some more of that stuff going on, and so more people can meet together and do more collabs and more cooperation and stuff, and get more growth and more success. And so till the next one, my insane friends, I would like to wish you all insane growth and insane success.